Okay, hello everybody. This is Yasmin Vorajee from the Tiny Time Big Results podcast, where I show you how you can have an abundant and fulfilling business working 20 hours or less a week. And today's podcast is an interview with one of my favorite people in the world, Sandra Pilarcyzk, who is a visibility and business mentor for entrepreneurs. And today's topic is all about how to get more visible in your business, because after all, being more visible means that you will be seen and clients will know that you're there. So let's go straight over to talk to Sandra. Hey Sandra, how are you? I'm going to look at you, Sandra, because then it feels like I'm having a proper conversation rather than looking at the little dot there.
Oh, that's cool with me, because I always do that as well. Because
I know, I was sitting there thinking, where am I looking? Where am I looking?
Crazy, I know.
Okay, so Sandra, tell me, what does visibility mean to you? Because you are like a visibility queen, having done so many challenges, having so many hundreds of people in your visibility challenges. Like, what is visibility to you?
Okay, visibility to me, I mean, the word kind of just came into my lap. I never kind of started off as visibility queen or anything like that. But really, visibility for me is just to be seen. Be seen as who you are, what you stand for, what you want to achieve, and to be seen by, your potential ideal clients in a nutshell.
Fantastic. And and it's funny, I suppose it's interesting because I know as a podcast listener, I'm always interested to know kind of the connections between, so the host and the person who's being interviewed. And so kind of as a background, Sandra and I met nearly 3 years ago now.
3 years ago, yeah.
At an event in London, and you were not doing this. This was not your business.
No.
So, my business wasn't what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
The Tiny Time Big Results wasn't even born at that stage. So it's really interesting because business does evolve, and I think that's always good for people to know that. And I suppose it's those steps that you take every time you take action. It took you into this field because now this is your zone of genius, really, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's really important for people to realize that there's nothing wrong with changing direction. If something doesn't feel right and you really gave it your big shot, because I'm all about consistency, you have to show up on a consistent basis. But I just sometimes feel people are being held back by saying, oh, this doesn't fit into my traditional way of education. I don't really have a certification for this or the other. Can I really put myself out there as an expert? And, I will be totally honest, I do not have a certificate which says, Sandra, congratulations, you are now a visibility business mentor. Did not happen like that. But you're so right. When we met 3 years ago at this event, I was actually going into the entrepreneurial kind of world just about then, around that time, to teach entrepreneurs how to run their own events. And look how that kind of worked out.
But it's such a good reminder, though, because sometimes we start things and they're not a good fit.
Yeah.
And rather than trying to think, okay, well, I'll just kind of do a little nip here and a little tuck there and a little bit of cutting here, instead of doing all of that and trying to make it fit, it's, I think it's just let it evolve. And I know that, I suppose it's interesting because I know sometimes when I've done, videos and podcasts and things, and I'd be sitting thinking, oh God, what was I talking about the last time? Or, I feel like I've shifted focus. But that's okay, because I think that we're the ones who know that there's been a shift. Everybody else doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And I think it just shows that you're really passionate about it as well. And you and me, we are in this personal development world, buying the courses, learning on a constant basis, reading the books. And it's just inevitable that sometimes your focus shifts, or sometimes a new thing comes in where you think like, oh my God, I have an opinion about this. I'm just going to have to share this, And I'm all about that. I mean, I always say to my clients, if you're not really passionate about something, just don't even try. Don't go out there and do these videos or do the live streams or do the YouTube just because everybody else is doing it. And you think you should be doing this and you should have that and you should just don't work.
Yeah, stop shooting all over the place.
should it all, but just really always talk about something you're really passionate about. And I know it kind of takes courage as well to put yourself out there and talk about something where you do not have a certification on, where you do not have maybe years of experience talking about. And it takes courage just to put yourself out there and say, like, hey, you know what, I've got an opinion about this. But if you do not, then really you don't give people the opportunity to connect with real you. And that's kind of how I see everything. It's about giving people, or giving your ideal clients, or giving your peers even, the opportunity to really connect to you.
And I remember hearing you speak at an event, and you said something which really stuck with me, because it was a brilliant way of reframing the whole content creation piece. Because people constantly think of, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And it wasn't about constantly creating new content, but it was about talking about your perspective on something, because that's going to be completely unique to you. And now it's interesting. And I actually was listening to a Seth Godin interview the other day. And he was talking about, he was being interviewed and asked about, like, because he creates a blog every single day. And he was saying, well, if you make a point of looking to see what you've noticed in that day, and then you reflect on that, and that's what your blog is all about. And it really got me thinking about what you had said as well, because it was about, well what have you noticed? And then you talk about it.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. We don't have to make it any more difficult than that.
Totally. I mean, one of the things which my clients always tell me, especially after they sign up for the challenge, and I give them a challenge like for every day, and they're like, oh, that was so easy because Sandra told me what to say on the video. It's okay, I can do this. And now what am I going to talk about? And I'm like, this is like the simplest thing ever. Content creation should really not be a problem in anyone's business. If you see it, like you said, from the perspective side, and if you see it as a way to really feel into yourself as well, to say, what do I really feel passionate about? What is my opinion? What is my viewpoint about certain specific topics in my industry? And let's face it, there is our good friend Google and our good friend YouTube. If you need new information, you can Google everything. You can go and watch a video on it. People are not interested in new information. They just want to hear about the perspective on how you can help them with solving their problems. And that's really all this content management and content creation thing is about. I'm not saying, you should have maybe not a diary, or you shouldn't be prepared, because some days, you wake up and you're like, I know I need to be visible, but what am I talking about? What's my perspective? And you're like, I'm just going back to bed because I really don't know today. So in that case, planning ahead obviously works really well. Apart from that, I think people are making themselves and their business much more complicated by thinking, I'm going to have to come up with like a new cure for a disease or something, or a new framework and something really special. And really, people are not looking for anything new.
And I think when you're sharing your perspective, it really helps people to understand and know whether they align with you and your style or whether they don't.
Totally. We always start off with vision. And I always, like everything I start, by the way, I'm always talking about the same things. I'm not coming up like for the last 2 years. I'm talking always about the same things. I'm coming not up with something new. Different perspectives, of course. But I always say, start with your vision. Start with the vision. What is it you want to achieve? What's the dreamland there? What do you want to achieve with your business? Who do you want to do this work for? What is the essence of what gets you out of bed every morning? And I say quite frankly, go out and share that vision, because then if people are not kind of clicking with your vision, if they're not relating to your vision, well, these people, they're never going to buy from you. It's not going to work, because that's the essence what you're standing for. And I think it's a great way to kind of filter out the people you really want to work with and the people you don't want to work with.
And I think it's really interesting, because I know that when I'm watching or listening or reading anything, any piece of content, and you know, you could hear, you know, the same thing being said by a number of different people, but you'll resonate with one particular person, and you think, and I know there'll be some people I'll be like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't like your style. I don't gel with you. And then there'll be other people that I'll just like, oh, I love it, and then I can't stop consuming stuff. And it's not because they're saying anything different or original. And I think, do you think that's one of the biggest barriers, is where people think that they have to be so original, and you know, nobody's ever heard what they're about to say?
Yes, definitely. I mean, when it comes to visibility, there's a whole host of things which, I mean, I have a list of thousands of things which people have said in my challenges about the one thing which is holding them back, about being visible. And it always comes down with, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not original enough, or, you know, this guru out there already speaking about the same thing than I want to talk about, but they're already doing such a great job. Why? Who am I? Which of course comes down to, I'm just maybe not good enough. And I think what people realize that when they do get out there, when they do share their videos, when they come from a place of passion, that there will always be people who can relate to them because of that. And I think that's kind of the magic of, you know, what you and me are doing, just to get those people the essence of their businesses out there, and then to share it, and just to see that, like, you know, ding, aha moment, to say like, oh, okay, I can do this kind of thing. So,
and you know, and it's so funny because like we said, you know, we've been in this space for such a, well, it feels like a really long time, but actually hasn't been that long at all. And you know, and you're exposed to different, you know, people and content and things, and we automatically assume that everybody that we've heard about, everyone else has heard about it.
Yes.
And I remember being at a retreat, and I was sharing a room with somebody that you also know, and I remember we were having this chat, and we were just bobbing names back to each other about people that we, you know, that we were kind of learning from. And she hadn't heard half of the people that I was talking about, and I was sitting there going, oh my god, but these are like really big names. And she was like, I've never heard of that person. And it was such an eye-opening moment, because you know, I might be thinking, well, X has already said this, and somebody else says, I've never even heard of X.
Yeah.
So if they don't hear it from you, then they're never going to hear it.
Oh, definitely. And I think, especially when you're a solopreneur, sometimes you're so in your own space that it's almost like you have your blinders on, and you think everybody is kind of part of your world. But of course, when you're an online solopreneur, you do not know what people actually see, if they see you, if they heard you. You do not know what kind of an impact you make, because, you know, I come from like a traditional kind of business where I actually had to go out and see people, and I could kind of judge on their basis.
Oh my god, did you?
Facebook even existed, you know? It's like, oh, I can't imagine that now, because, you know, I actually live on Facebook now. But you can kind of judge the people's reaction when you kind of talk about your business, and they're like, no, don't, you know. Obviously, you can't have that same interaction when you're putting yourself out there online. And something which, especially when it comes around visibility, something else which I hear a lot is like, I'm putting myself out there, I'm doing all these videos, I'm doing this like live streams every day. Second question would be like, how long for, obviously, because I'm all about consistency, but it doesn't make a difference. I had no sign-ups for my programs. I had no sign-ups for my list, or, you know, whatever kind of comes back. But the thing is, you do not know. You just don't know what an impact you make. And I can almost guarantee you, if you do it on a consistent basis, sooner, and you stay consistent with it, sooner or later you will see the impact you're actually doing. And I think that's like the chicken and egg, like, oh, go and see the difference. I didn't make the 6-figure business overnight like everybody else has promised me. But if you do put the work in, if you do stay consistent, you will get a return on your investment. And I think that's like one of the biggest messages for the moment, which I want to get out there as well, that you're just going to have to stay consistent. You're going to have to really stay consistent in probably saying always the same things, because otherwise you don't give the people the opportunity to connect with you.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, obviously, because, you know, my whole business is around the tiny time aspect, and obviously now my time is really small because of my newborn. But for me, it's about the quality that you're putting out there. And again, I'm very mindful of my target market, that you know, they're probably very similar to me, that they're probably thinking, oh God, if this is going to be a half an hour or, you know, an hour long, you know, session, I'm not going to have time to listen to that. Whereas when I do a live stream, I typically tend to, for some reason, and this week especially, I've been kind of looking at my clock going, I have to pick up my daughter from the preschool, so I've got 10 minutes now, but I will do the live stream. And, you know, you can get something out there, share some content, and I think that's the thing, that we let things be a barrier. Like, I haven't got the time. I haven't got any makeup on yesterday. I've got lipstick on today, but yesterday I looked so pale. I was looking at myself in the camera thinking, what is wrong with you? Sleep deprivation was wrong with me. But and like that, you know, you have all, and I think that other thing that you just said was like, you know, well, I just said this the other day. Well, we know, like we know ourselves that we feel like a broken record sometimes.
Yeah.
But our clients haven't, and our audience,
they haven't.
hear it in lots of different ways.
No, definitely. I mean, all these excuses of having like a bad hair day or being tired or not having, you know, enough time. And you know, when we arranged this podcast, I was like, oh, I can't go on camera. My face just broke out. I'm like under white cream. I can't do that. And the moment I typed it, I was like, oh, what am I doing? You know, such a fraud. I should just come out there anyway. So there you go. But the other thing which you said as well, it is about the quantity, the quality of the content you're putting out there. And sometimes what I kind of teach is really about prioritizing your time, what you do as well, to say, okay, I'm going to show up for my clients first. No matter what, I'm going to have to show up. Because the reason why I kind of talk about prioritizing in my business is I have a lot of my clients coming to me with like to-do lists which are longer than, you know, the road from here to the UK. It's like, what are you doing? And if you just prioritize your time, as you teach obviously as well, say I'm going to show up for my clients first. I know I have to be visible. I'm going to put one viewpoint out there, and then just be okay with it.
Yeah.
Sit down at the end of the day and say, oh, see, 2 priorities, achieve that one. I'm going to be really proud of myself. And it really is about this quality, like you're talking about, that you only can have, though, if you are very clear about what it is you want to achieve with your business, what it is you want to achieve with, you know, just being visible, because visibility without an intention is just a waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that piece around consistency and quality is really important, especially in a world of, you know, where there's an awful lot of big claims, there's an awful lot of rubbish out there. And I think that we have to be the ones that stand up to say, well, we have integrity with what we do. So we're not just going to put out rubbish. You know, we're going to make sure that what we do is really good quality. And I think that that's really, it's got to be kind of the bedrock of your foundation, really, that you can say, well, I'm putting out really good stuff that people will get really, you know, huge benefit from.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be absolutely 100% there. You know, and I think one of the things that I kind of, you know, like, it's kind of going back to what you were saying before, is if you're not seeing the results, if you don't put a live stream out and get an immediate client, you'll think, oh my God, it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
For me, when those moments happen, I said, I showed up today. I showed up today. And like you said, you don't know who saw you showing up. And, you know, and like in online marketing and even, you know, bricks and mortar businesses, we always talk about the know, like, and trust factor.
Yes.
The more they, you know, get to know you, the more they like you, and then they will trust you. And sometimes that trust takes very little time to build, and sometimes it takes a lot longer to build. But as long as you keep showing up, you can't be the charlatan that shows up once every 6 months and then says, here, give me your money. You know, it just doesn't work that way.
Oh, yes, no, totally. I mean, I'm all about know, like, and trust factor. And it's very traditional business building where I come from anyway. And I always say it's much easier to sell to the people who you already brought along your funnel, rather than going out there and posting your threats on promo days and going and selling to like 7 billion people on the planet. It's just so much easier once you kind of establish your own tribe to sell to your own tribe as well. It's just the way it works. Like you said, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for people to connect with you, and you just do not know what an impact you have. The other thing which I'm seeing a lot as well, if you haven't done, or if you haven't had the results which you wanted with that one live stream, whatever that will do. But anyway, sometimes it's just, especially when you're a solopreneur and you kind of see these big claims, sometimes it's really easy to forget on how far you actually already have come, because maybe it's not about the immediate sign up for another client, but look how much more confident you are at your next live stream. Look how much better your other video was. Look at the quality of the blogs, like compared from 3 years ago to now. And something which I always do on my calls is tell me what's working really well in your business. And then we kind of move into what's not working really well, And sometimes I'm just so surprised that people are not properly celebrating their successes, because it is so important, because we put ourselves under so high expectations that, I did sign up a client actually. I had 3 calls, that was great, wasn't it? So really put yourself into that position of celebrating your own successes. And sometimes it just, great, another content piece to put out there, celebrating my success, because look at that live stream, wasn't that so much better than the last one or the first one?
Exactly. And I think it's interesting as well, because one of the things that I talk about a lot is like batch creation of at the beginning of the month, create your 4 blog posts if that's what you want to do, if that's what you do. And it's interesting because I was kind of thinking, I have something to say. When I'd already created my blog post for the month, and I was sitting there going, well, I've already done my blog post. And I thought, sorry, it's my business, my rules. So I literally have just been churning out content. And like I say, it's just my perspective on certain things. But then, for me, when I'm thinking about how do I extend my presence even when I'm not physically working, recycle your content, and I think that what you said before was really important, because visibility is like one piece of the puzzle. If you are not directing people with a call to action at the end of those content pieces, those live streams, then chances are it's just going out into the ether. And so it's about knowing that if you could have a really great call to action, but if you're not visible, it's like the chicken and egg thing. No one's going to know. But if you are visible, but people are, almost like people get frustrated. They're like, oh my God, I love Sandra's stuff so much, but I don't know what happens next.
Where can I buy?
What can I do? So it's really important to make sure that you are deliberate about how you're being visible. It's like, okay, so there's a live stream. What do I want to do? Do I want to send them to my website to sign up for my free gift? Or do I want them to sign up for a free call? Or do I want to sign up for my free challenge, or whatever it might be? But they need to just be strategic about it, as well as sharing their perspective, so that from a business perspective, they're helping to achieve their goals as well.
Definitely. And, I see this happening all the time, where, especially when people are going through the challenge and they're like, oh, I'm all visible. Now, what's next? And it really comes down to this: visibility without an intention is a waste of time. And sometimes your intention, it doesn't always have to be an exchange of money. It doesn't always have to be like, buy my stuff. But maybe your intention is as well to kind of facilitate a mindset shift, maybe, or, start a conversation, or start a discussion, or start a daily habit in your clients' lives. But really, like you said, be really strategic about it, and also be strategic on how you're moving your people alongside your funnel. And when I'm talking funnels, or especially when I say the word like a sales funnel, most of my clients want to run a mile. It's like, I can't do it. I'm just not that person, Sandra. You don't know. I'm just like more of an intuitive one. And all it is really, you need to be strategic on how you can increase, like I said at the beginning, your know, like, and trust factor, and really be strategic about how you are leading your people further down the line. And that's all a funnel really is. That's all what sales funnel really is, as you know.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start doing it. Like, there is nothing perfect out there. So don't put yourself under the pressure that it has to be the perfect sales funnel. Just start thinking about, well, what does that journey look like? Map it out. And then just start putting those pieces in. And then, all of entrepreneurship, I think, is a testing ground anyway. You just test to see what works. Live streams might work really well for you, and maybe writing blogs works really well for you as well. It doesn't always have to be about video. I think video has been really powerful because it helps people to create that connection.
Yeah.
And I often get people saying to me like, I feel like I know you, because they've watched my videos, and we've never spoken before, but they're like, you talk just like the way you do in your videos. And I was like,
yeah.
This is me.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Yeah. I hear that a lot. Like when I jump on the phone, it's like, oh, it's really you. I hear this a lot. Like, oh, you're like sitting in the same position that you're in your videos. I was like, yeah, this is my office, I mean, their work kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I think what you said, it is your business. You can do whatever you want to do. If you committed at the beginning of the month to follow through with this elaborate sales funnel, but in week 2 you kind of want to lose the will to live, then change it and do something else. Put another offer out. It's your business. That's the beauty. You can do whatever it is you want to do. But just because you don't see the results straight away doesn't mean something is not working.
Yeah, exactly. What would be your top 3 tips for getting or being more visible this week? As we wrap up this podcast, I know people really love to get kind of practical, actionable tips. What would be like your top 3 things that you would say, definitely do this, and you'll be consistent and you'll be creating quality?
3, quick, Sandra. Think. I think for me, everything starts off with a vision, and that sounds like it's not a quick, actionable step really, but I know that if you're in business and you're looking, or you're wanting to start something, you're going to have to spend just some time on your vision. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because perfectionism is highly overrated. It's not working.
It doesn't exist.
We're not going to even talk about the P word anymore. No. My biggest tip really is start with your vision and go out and talk about it. Write down a list of maybe 3, 4 of your viewpoints about the things which you want to maybe bust through a myth in your industry, something which really annoys you, front of the day, something which you have found out to be true, something you really, really believe in it, something you want to have, everybody dares to know, and go out there and talk about it. Mm-hmm. You can just talk about it. The more you're going to talk about it, the more confident you will be. And that's the reason why you and me, we are going on this podcast completely unprepared, not having any, let's just be really honest in case nobody knows this, but because we've been talking about this stuff for such a long time, you're going to have to make a start. Yeah. So vision, a couple of your viewpoints, it's great to go out there. Just get over yourself, put on that camera, it doesn't have to be perfect, and talk about what it is which really lights you up, something which you're really passionate about, and just do it. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to your decision. You're going to have to make that decision if your message is important enough to share or not. Mm-hmm. If you made that decision, then you're just going to have to go out and do it.
And I love that what you've just said there, because I think business is just a series of decisions that you make, and you either decide that you're going to, do something, or you make a decision not to do it. Exactly. Still making a decision. Yes. And I think that's the big thing, that, when you are kind of constantly veering and going, will I, won't I, you're making a decision there of being indecisive. Yes. So if you're going to do anything, then put your heart and soul into it. And I love what you say about vision, because I know some people probably think, oh God, vision again. Everyone starts off with vision, but actually like kind of getting yourself anchored to that is so important. Like, actually just last night I was brushing my teeth and I had this like flash of inspiration, because I went, oh, that's why I do what I do. And and so you can still be playing around, and I think that sometimes we make out this vision's got to be so big and then everything has got to fit perfectly, but I kind of thought, well, my vision is quite like an umbrella, and then everything else kind of fits into it. My vision is very kind of like high level, but then everything that I do in my business is very tactical, very strategic, very practical. And and again, the way that you do the stuff under the umbrella will evolve and change, but the umbrella will probably stay very similar.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So stop putting pressure on yourself and just get out there and start talking and start being visible for the people who you're here to serve, because if you don't, then they'll never know about you, and you'll feel like as if I think sometimes people think I've done everything that I can, and it's like, ask yourself, have you really? Have you really? And I ask myself that same question all the time as well, like, have you really done everything that you could? I think if you're honest with yourself, that would be a no.
Definitely. And see it as a way to expand your networks, because when you're visible, yes, it is about running a business, finding your clients, but especially when you're a solopreneur, it's about expanding your networks, because you can't do anything by yourself. And if you kind of think you can, well, then think again and take it from people who've been there and done it. You can't. It really is about expanding your world, expanding your networks, and just connecting.
Absolutely.
All about connections.
And if people want to know more about you, Sandra, about the Visibility Challenge, how can they find out more?
I live on Facebook.
Is that a new planet?
Just over there, you take a ride, and you can find me on facebook.com/Fearless and Live, or on my website, fearlessandlive.com as well. I've got a couple of other things coming up before I'm doing another challenge, but it will happen somewhere in November. So it's going to be all over Facebook as well.
Okay, fantastic. Sandra, thanks so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you. I know we chat on a regular basis anyway, but it's great to kind of share you with the Tiny Time Big Results world as well. And a big thank you to everybody for joining us for this podcast today as well. I hope you've got a great benefit out of it. I hope it's motivated, encourage you to go out there and be visible. And if you're looking for more Tiny Time Big Results tips and strategies and ideas about how you can package and position and leverage your expertise working 20 hours or less a week, then pop over to yasminborji.com and go and check out the goodies on the site there. And obviously, I also live on Facebook, so to be sure to pop over to Tiny Time Big Results, the page, and also the Facebook group, the Tiny Time Tribe. So I will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.